In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how I landed an average of $87,000 per month in personal take-home income while I was traveling the world for the past year and a half. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Steven Smarriage, and I run a company that helps people scale their sales teams, and I definitely have something to sell you. Should I commit? Yeah, we're committing to it. We're leaving it in. So here's the brief overview. Over the past year and a half, I've transitioned out of a company in which I did full-on sales consulting, sales management, for recruiting, etc., for some of the biggest names in the space that you've definitely heard of. And after that, I left that company and began working on consulting privately for a handful of different clients and trying to figure out exactly what it is that I wanted to do. And so in doing so, I had my hand in a couple different areas of I was doing sales consulting, sales management. I had a couple sales reps that I was training and placing. And all this to say, I really tried to figure out what it is that I was going to do. And as I was figuring out what it is that I was going to do, I landed an average of 80 grand a month, 87 to be exact, take home income for the past year and a half. So I thought that was actually going to be a pretty good hook to a YouTube video one day. And boy, by the view count on this video, hopefully I'm correct. Anyway, so diving in, a couple of things that I think will serve true to not just this role that I did, which was sales management, sales consulting, because obviously people pay sales guys, especially if they have long hair and wear funny hats. Now, not only will people pay sales guys a lot of money, but they will basically pay money to anybody who provides value to the company. And value described as, well, how much will I get in exchange for the money you give me? And I walked up to companies and I was like, hey, if I get you $1 million, can I have 100? And they said, of course. Seems like a fair trade, honestly. And now that deal is one that I continue to offer. And that's how my company has actually transitioned into a real company today rather than just a thing that makes me money. But the main services that I offered out of the gate was I had partner clients, I had consulting, and I offered ad hoc calls to previous friends. I did sales management services, doing full-on sales management for different companies. And then I would also do sales turnaround. And so I offered a couple 90-day packages that I charged 150 grand for. People would hire me. I'd change a whole bunch of things, hire a sales manager, redo the process, and then leave. I liked those offers less because sure, it was a good cash play, but if I was still part of those companies, it would have landed me $1 million rather than 150. And so if I were to do that again, I really wouldn't. And so that's why I make these videos, is to explain the lessons that I've learned, because I think that there's a better way to do it. So rather than explaining how I operated all of these models at the same time, from the private clients to the consulting to the sales management, et cetera, I just kind of want to give you the main takeaways that I think that you can apply to your own freelance business if you wish to start a freelance operation, to call it moonlighting. But ultimately, the reason why I see this to be such a viable vehicle, especially in 2024, is because you don't have to learn anything new. You can literally just leverage the skills that you already had. So simply put, if a business currently pays you money to do a thing, there are other businesses that will pay you money to do that same thing. Now, how valuable that thing is and what you charge, et cetera, is really just about deal negotiation and price structure, which is where I intend to help people. And, getting those leads, making offers, et cetera, is really the hard part and the thing that takes the most time, which is also where I will come into play. And so the real key thing is you have to, number one, you have to be good at the thing that you do. If you're to solve a problem to a company in exchange for money, you have to be valuable. It has to make sense for the company. In order to be valuable, you have to have enough reps and enough things that it is that you do, which is why step number one is creating your portfolio. So if you don't have a huge CV of work and all these projects that you can list that were these projects that move profit for the company in a better direction, or something that is proof that somebody said something to you that was useful, or you were useful, you helped the company, etc. It's going to be really difficult to start to make progress as a freelancer. And so the first thing that I did is I offered a whole bunch of free services. Because sure, I had a really good portfolio from working with 600 sales teams at the last company that I worked with before I became a freelancer. But what I was missing was the proof that me separate from the company. And so what I did was I offered a whole bunch of free services. I was let me just look at your sales team. Let me provide some guidance. Let me give you some feedback as to what I see, what I would change if I were to do it. And I kept doing that, and people were asking me if I would just do it. And so that was really how I became the fractional sales guy that I am today, is I just offered, I was really going in with the intention of building a portfolio so that I could land more clients, but it really just turned into I did the free value, and then people asked for more, and then I said, yes, I accept money, which was my favorite close of all time. So And having a large portfolio with an ample amount of social proof that deems that you can do the job that you say that you will do, then you can start to explain the projects and services that you will offer as a part of it. So like now I actually have a system for doing this, but when I first started, it was really just like, here's a bunch of things that I can help with, say yes or else. I'm kidding. And so the real primary offer just became me and my brain. And so that's why I was really able to like, kind of figure this out as I go. But now the offer is like, I have a business, which I'll get into in a minute. The whole premise of like what I get at though is that like, if you have a skill that businesses pay you to do, other businesses will pay you to do it. So long as you can demonstrate that you will do that skill for them, that increases their profit. If you can present that offer in a way that makes sense to them, they will likely say yes, which is just, hey, if I make you $1 million, can I have 10? My favorite close of all time is like, I would love to make you $1 million. You get the idea. The next main takeaway that I learned is that like I really would have been unable to be successful with this if I didn't have the language that I could use in order to communicate what it is that I do. And so now this is where I go into like, I teach people what words to say in order to explain what it is that you do. So I've consulted a couple email copywriters on the side, a couple ghostwriters, a couple graphic designers on how they can land their first like freelance client, and like a bunch of marketing agencies. I took on 30 marketing agencies and helped them become like freelancers. So they all had like SEO backgrounds and SEO experience. And then I just taught them how they could land their own client. Took on 30. I helped 21 of them land their first sale within the first 30 days. Since then, anybody who stuck through the program has landed a sale. Obviously we have drop off, which blows, but like there's 2 people who didn't land a deal, and like that bums me out. Either way, I see that as a complete victory. 28 of 30 people. So anyway, 21 in the first 30 days, like I will pat myself on the back for that one. So now I know that this process can be repeated because it wasn't just like a magic bag of tricks that I pulled out and I was like, I think this will work. It worked for me. I hope for the best, but it's like I have so much proof that it'll, not only does it work with sales, works with marketing, works with graphic design, works with tech, works with operations. I have a friend who does the same thing with fulfillment. Like it works no matter what the category of business that you help in is. So no matter what department you operate, you can become a freelancer. You can make really good money. And so I really wish to communicate like the freelance freedom aspect of life because where it became beneficial to me is I was making more money than I ever had, and I was working like 15 to 20 hours a week in some weeks. And obviously like when you're hopping in, you're doing a full build out for like somebody just paid you 6 figures to like build out a sales team. It's like, dude, you're going to do a good job. So it's like those weeks, so like that's when you're really working. But like I got to pick and choose like who I said yes to, what projects I did, when I did them, etc. And it really just came down to like I had enough time and enough money and enough resources in order to say yes to the things that I really wanted to say yes to. And then my free time, I just traveled. And so like over the past 18 months, I've been to some of the coolest places in the world. I've been to Costa Rica twice, been to Turks and Caicos, went to Banff, went to Colorado, like just some Mexico a few times. Like, and in my ability to travel and still maintain this pretty substantial amount of income, like personal income, I'll just say, is been a real testament that like this can work for other people. And I really think it's the answer in terms of like scaling your income, because it just doesn't make sense to go out and learn a new skill in order to make more money. Like if there's a skill that you already have that businesses pay you to do, you can go do that skill in addition to the place that you're currently doing it and make more money. Well, how does this look in practicality? Okay, totally makes sense. Good question. Well, number one is like, obviously, like no matter like the contract that you have with your current employer supersedes what I'm about to say 100%. Now, if you're an independent contractor, the FTC has removed the non-compete clause that was in a lot of contracts. And so you can offer your services as a contractor to another company, no questions asked. Like nobody has any legal ground to stand on anymore. Now, obviously, if you're an employee, I don't know like all the laws, but definitely research it, whatever. The 5 phases of client acquisition for freelance freedom, very simple. Number 1, land your first client, like proof of concept. Can you actually get somebody to give you money in exchange for the skills that you have? That was not something that you applied to do. It was something that you asked to do, or that somebody asked you to do more specifically. And so a job is its whole recruitment, interview process, etc. Freelancing, you go knocking on virtual doors and you say, I have these services, you have this problem, what can we do about it? Depending on how well you do that and how often you do that increases the likelihood that you get people to say yes. Once one person has said yes, you have now landed your first client. Congratulations, you are now a moonlighting freelancer. You can make more money than you were at your current position, and you didn't have to learn an entirely new skill like affiliate marketing, drop shipping, or agency, or whatever, fucking, it almost makes too much sense that I get mad about it. Like, you do a thing that businesses pay you to do. You can do that thing for other businesses as long as you have the language to do it. So it's like I'm just so convinced I can help so many people make more money. Anyway, second point is your survival income. And so your first client, my first client's obviously a lot different, but your first client, if you're making anywhere from like 15 to $3,000, doing a little bit of project work on the side, maybe a little bit more, depending on how much value you provide, but stay with me. Let's say that your first client covers about 35 to 50% of your income currently. Well, great. Then you just want to look at, well, how much income do you need in order to survive? And you make that your second target. And so with your second client, or even your first client, honestly, you want to be aiming for how much money does it take for me to survive? And then you work backwards into that. So if your survival meaning like food over your head, or food over your head, roof over your head, food in your fridge, and like car, rent, whatever, food, gas, you get the idea. If all that is covered by one client, great, awesome. But you might need a second one. And so I would continue to look for a second client. This is where you can get really interesting, because now you can make a decision of like, well, continue this full-time job and work my freelancing, or do I just want to commit to freelancing? Because now, no matter what I do, all my expenses are covered, and like, great, honestly. Goal number 3 is to replace your current income. So if you're making 8 to 12 grand a month right now as a sales consultant for one business, and then you start freelancing, well, you might need 3 clients paying you $4,000 a month. It's really not that hard to accomplish. You might even just need 2 paying you $6,000, and then Bob's your uncle, honestly. I don't know when that became an expression, or if that's just something Canadians say, but like, I digress. Basically, if you have more time in your day, instead of doing something like affiliate marketing or like, trying to sell something that you don't know or whatever, then I would just recommend you already get paid for a skill. Leverage that. Now, once you have the position of like, you have your first client, you have survival income, now you've replaced your current income. Now you get to make the choice of like, well, I've doubled my money. Like, I'm working this full-time job that's paying me 8, and I have 3 freelancing clients that are paying me 8. I currently take home 16 grand a month. Cool. Well, this full-time job takes 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. These 3 freelancing clients take 90 minutes a day. So call that 4.5 hours, call it 20 hours a week. And so, yeah, you're working 60 hours a week. Congrats, you're now making 16 grand a month. Like, that's what happens. So now you can face the position. You can ask yourself the question of like, do you want to pursue freelancing all in? Because that way, like for 20 hours of work, so half the time, same amount of money, it looks like a pretty obvious decision. Now you can also just do this and like stack up cash, and like depending on the season that you're in life, or whether it's like you have kids that are a priority, you want to save up money, doesn't matter. Whole thing is like, now you're in a position which you can ask the question of like, what will I do with this money? And like, until you have the opportunity to ask yourself that question, don't ask the question. It's useless. Like if you're sitting here at 8 grand a month right now and you're like, well, if I work twice as hard and make double my income, like what am I gonna, like, don't, just double your income, then figure out what you're gonna do. Anyway, so what I did is I exited the company that I was at. It was like decently amicable, we'll just say, save that story for another time. And I moved into my like ideal lifestyle, which was, I looked at the amount of income I would need in order to obtain my ideal lifestyle. And then I just scaled to that number with consulting clients, with fractional sales management. Like it was kind of just like a bunch of stuff that made money rather than it was a business. But like, welcome to freelancing. It's like, it's a little bit weird, but like you make good money and you don't work a lot. And for the time that you do work, it's leverage work, I should say. And so like you have to be talented and you have to figure out like, okay, well, what do I do in this situation? You get the idea. Well, now you're in a position called ideal lifestyle income, which is like you now make enough money to live your ideal life. So you can just do that. And like your ideal life, honestly, it's really difficult to spend more than like 20 grand a month, speaking from experience. And so even with travel, flying for like, it's really hard to do. So you making $20,000 a month, now you have your ideal income, great ideal lifestyle. Now you can ask yourself the question, well, I could just hold here. I got 5 clients working 20 hours a week. I'm in a really good spot. I don't really know what to do. That's like, great. Now you've realized money isn't the meaning of life. So good. Welcome to me. Step into my office. So this is where you can choose to turn this into an actual business, operationalize things, cut your profit in half. Once again, speaking from experience, you can cut your profit in half, start to scale, bring on more clients, turn them into partner agreements rather than, override agreements, etc. And you can really start to turn this into a business if you want. If not, just milk the ideal lifestyle. I milked the ideal lifestyle for like 8 months. And it just led me to realizing like the only thing that I really like doing in this life is working. Like there's not like, I can only stare at a waterfall for so long. I can only have so many trees. I can only look at the ocean for so long before I'm like, all right, I got to do some push-ups and like coach some people. And I just get so much more intrinsic value from being useful for other people than I do just like looking at the beach. If I can help people solve problems and they say like, oh, Steve, like you did this thing and it helped me, there's nothing more fulfilling than that, in my opinion, which is why I make these videos. You get the idea. So I decided to scale because like the only thing that I realized that I like doing was working. And so now this is where I get to at the moment where I now run a done with you, done for you sales management company. We work with some of the coolest names in the industry, like not the biggest, but definitely like the best people. And it's great. I love all of my clients. I have a great business, a great team, very, very happy with it. And over the last, like, call it 8 to 12 months, I've realized that there's like a really big problem with the sales management position, because what the sales management position really should be is just coaching. It should really just be like just waking up, doing call reviews, running the meeting, doing more call reviews. Like that's the position. And even when you get reps up to KPI, like all you got to be doing is call reviews, QC, call reviews, QC, call reviews. Now, the reason why this doesn't get, and that's the number one corollary, in my opinion, to getting a company from like 250 grand a month to $1 million a month is just like call reviews nonstop. And where this gets really operationally complex is it's really hard to have one guy do the other 4 jobs required for sales management and still prioritize call reviews. So what that actually ends up being is like when you look at a sales manager, they have to do recruiting, they have to do training and ramp up, they have to coach the salespeople, which is call reviews. They also have to do operations and calendar management, like connecting things to Calendly and HubSpot, and it's like, man. And they also have to exit. And so they also have to fire the sales reps, which in any other company, that's like 5 individual jobs. So I realized that like the biggest constraint for getting sales teams from 250 to $1 million a month, even beyond that, is really just like it requires like a 5-person sales management team in order to support the sales team. And it just doesn't make sense for any company to afford 5 different positions on the P&L. But it's really what is required in order to give that sales coach full bandwidth to review the calls and provide feedback and hold the people accountable and like reward the right things, etc. And in realizing that this problem had been created in the industry, because it's just like, yep, you're a sales manager, go make money, which is the whole job description from what I can tell. And in that broken process, it's really created a lot of other problems and a lot of other constraints, because now you're having the sales manager coordinate with the tech team, creating all these HubSpot dashboards that nobody knows how to read or nobody knows how to understand. They're not meaningful. They're not useful whatsoever. And they're all just these ways that the sales manager justifies as to why the team is behind, when in reality, the team's behind because the sales manager is not doing call reviews. Sound familiar? Great. Welcome to my office. Hello. So now the company that I operate, ScalingSales.pro, because .com was not available, ScalingSales.pro operates as we do all of the other things that a sales manager needs to do so that the sales coach can coach the sales team, rather than they can spend their time recruiting, updating dashboards, yada, yada, yada. They just coach the team. That's all they need to do, so that's all that they do. Very, very helpful. So since installing this system, I've taken one company, my team. I was like, hey, we got this company, and then my team. I have a great team. Like I'm so fortunate. My team ended up 3.5xing a company within 45 days. Another one we took on, we started like not very long ago. We're already pacing 3 times above the expected cash collected the month before. Like we do good stuff, and it's less that like we're good. It's more that the system is what is required in order to scale. We're also really good. So we also do it with praise rather than punishment. So in this video, I've really gone through like, why freelancing I think is like the ultimate opportunity, especially in 2024, to scale your income, because like you have skills, use them somewhere else. Like you have a thing that you get paid to do. One person pays you to do a thing. And if two people pay you to do a thing, you could double your income. So I want to solve that problem rather than like affiliate marketing, yada, yada, yada. So this opens the door for two things. Number one, freelance freedom, where I teach people exactly how to become a freelancer, go B2B. And then also I realized that like online leverage is the kind of B2C equal opposite of that. So if you're a coach, personal trainer, therapist, doctor, chiropractor, whatever, you've likely seen all these other programs and products that really sell you on like high ticket coaching. In my opinion, it makes no sense. Like speaking as somebody who used to sell high ticket personal training, it's so ridiculous. Like charging $5,800 for 12 weeks of accountability, like to like Joe Schmo, doesn't make any sense. And I've been on the inside of like one of the biggest weight loss companies in the industry. They were like the top dog. They were doing like 15 million a year the past couple of years. Recently, because of Ozempic, like huge downfall. And because of Ozempic and the FTC, like not good. And what I've noticed is that selling 12 weeks of accountability, and like it wasn't even accountability, it was like group calls for $7,500 is so ridiculous. So online leverage solves the problem of you being able to make more money and working less time, but because the amount of hours that you're working is leverage, not because it's like a discrepancy of value. So like I love fitness. Like I live and breathe fitness. I don't know how good my delts look, but like I really like exercise. And if somebody offered me $7,500 to work with them for 12 weeks, I'd be like, who the do you think you are? Like, what are we? No. But if somebody offered me $250 to $500 a month, hell yeah, I'm all over that. And like when you think about personal trainers, it's like a personal trainer's maximum income is like 15 grand a month. It's like, well, I can just replace that by having 30 clients one-on-one. Speaking from experience, it's exactly what I did in 2019. And I'll probably make this a whole separate video about like how I became like a freelancer basically for personal training and nutrition coaching, and how I was able to make more money through like what I was doing at like, I made so much money as a 22-year-old. I didn't even know what to do with it. And I didn't even know what I was doing was freelancing at the time. I was just like trying to help people and I'd charge for it. Anyway, so I realized that like high ticket weight loss coaching, silly. High ticket like physique, whatever. Anti-back pain, silly. High ticket mindset coaching, silly. Like all of these services, nobody pays a therapist, which is like the real equivalent of like what a mindset coach is. Nobody pays a therapist $5,800 for 12 weeks. Nobody. Like nobody. And so it's like, I just think that we have the model backwards. Like if you do B2B and you solve a problem that is worth $1 million, it's easy to ask for 100 grand. If you sell to Joanne, who's 55 and wants to lose 7 pounds, why would you charge $5,875? Anyway, so I think this can be done better. I think that I can help people who want to make more money. I also think that I can help personal trainers, mindset coaches, financial coaches, wealth coaches, whatever. I think I can help everybody that I have helped, because I have so much proof and so much data to show that I have, working with 600 different business owners and having made a blind magician 100 grand. I feel like I can do a pretty good job making anybody any money. True story. Another video. The two primary things that I wish to communicate is like, now I'm in a position in which I will be teaching freelancers how to obtain freedom through Freelance Freedom. Pretty good name. I'll also be teaching coaches, personal trainers, mindset coaches, therapists, doctors, wealth coaches, life coaches, anybody who has like a B2C problem that they wish to solve. Even if you have a product, like I will be able to help you. I also wish to help them make more money by turning their skills from in-person to online. Because it's like super, super viable, great lifestyle. Like you can have a very nice life if you do it. And also like customer results stay the same, if not get better. And then I also launched Done For You and Done With You sales teams by scalingsales.pro. So we have Well, we do a lot of things at the moment. And some of the wisest people in the world say, well, stick to one thing, and we're going to stick to one song and one song only. And with that quote in mind, I really try to think about, well, how does this all relate to one thing? And honestly, it's to make sure that everybody in this world has the opportunity to enjoy what they do while they make money, because money you need in order to do the things that you want to do. And when you have that skill and you know how to make money, you can do the things that you want. And when you can do the things that you want, you do the things that you want, which you said would make you happy, but they don't actually make you happy, so it's kind of like useless anyways. I'm kidding. If you can do the things that you want, then you do the things that you want, period. Whether that makes you happy or not, go for it. So anyway, I just want to help other people make money. I was very fortunate, very grateful that I've had a whole bunch of people help me make money, realized, and it's actually pretty straightforward when you have the right language to use to tell people what it is that you do and you can provide a valuable service. I would like to explain to you exactly how I did that, whether it's you want to help businesses or if you want to help clients. Like, I'm 100% confident that I can help you make more money. I literally have a money back guarantee if I can't. Like, if you do the thing that I told you to do and it does not work, then I don't want your money. And so there's a screenshot of it. I'll put it right there. There's a contract. It's not super worded. Like, it just says, if you do these things and you don't make money, then I give you your money back. So also this recording. Great. Anyway, if you have any questions, there's probably some links in the bio or something. Have a good day.